Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating medical mystery, one that beautifully bridges the gap between dentistry and endocrinology. For decades, we've treated the mouth as if it were just completely disconnected from the rest of the body. But today, we're going to dive into the exact mechanisms of how your oral health is actually steering your metabolic destiny.
Let's set the stage with a pretty incredible real-world story. Look at this quote from a patient named Juanita Barnes. She was treated by a periodontist named Dr. Joan Nemeth. Her A1C, which is a measure of long-term blood sugar, was sitting at a dangerously high level of almost 14. But here's the crazy twist. Juanita's blood sugar dropped drastically down to 8.6, and it wasn't because she was put on a brand new miracle diabetes drug. It happened because Dr. Nemeth treated her severe gum disease.
So it kind of forces us to ask a critical question. Did you know your gums are quietly working for or against your blood sugar? We almost always think of gum disease as just a localized dental issue, right? Like maybe some bleeding when you floss or bad breath. But the latest clinical research confirms it is actually a profound systemic driver of metabolic disease.
Let's jump right into how your mouth acts as a literal window into your overall metabolic health.
Now, if you thought Juanita's story was just some rare one-off anecdote, the data definitely says otherwise. Look at this massive March 2026 systematic review published in The Lancet Public Health. They looked at over 300,000 participants across 16 different countries. The sheer scale of that is just amazing. And the science is totally settled here. The physical state of your gums directly impacts the state of your blood sugar.
Metabolic scientist Dr. Ben Bikman perfectly illustrates what's going on. Picture a healthy mouth as a balanced ecosystem, where gums form a really tight, sealed physical cuff around your teeth. It acts as a strict barrier. But a diseased mouth? It turns that barrier into a chronically inflamed, leaky, ulcerated open wound. And that allows bacteria to slip directly into your bloodstream every single time you chew your food.
Which brings us to a really crucial biological concept, the vicious bidirectional cycle.
The relationship between your gums and your glucose is officially recognized as bidirectional. What does that mean? Simply put, high blood sugar destroys your gums, and in return, those infected gums absolutely wreck your insulin sensitivity. It's a self-reinforcing downward spiral. When your blood sugar runs high, it impairs your immune system, which makes it infinitely harder for your body to fight off the bacterial biofilm in your mouth.
Because of this crippled immune response, diabetics frequently get hit with a whole cascading series of oral issues. Periodontitis is obviously the most serious, but there's also xerostomia, which is dry mouth, and that actually accelerates tooth decay because you just don't have the saliva to wash away the acids. There's oral candidiasis, a fungal thrush infection that literally thrives on the high glucose in a diabetic's saliva. And tragically, all of this leads to tooth loss. And when patients lose their teeth, they're forced into eating soft, highly processed diets that just ruin their glucose control even further.
To put that risk into perspective, if you have diabetes, you are up to 3 times more likely to develop severe periodontitis compared to a non-diabetic. 3 times! Your metabolic dysfunction is actively sabotaging your oral immune defenses.
Okay, so let's peel back the layers and look at the exact cellular mechanisms of how your gums sabotage your metabolism.
It all starts with a biological Trojan horse, anaerobic bacteria. Specifically one called P. gingivalis, absolutely thrive in the deep, low-oxygen pockets of infected gums. This bacterium produces a component on its outer membrane called lipopolysaccharide, or LPS. And guys, LPS is one of the most potent inflammatory signals known to biology. When your gum barrier is breached, this toxin leaks into your systemic circulation every time you chew, creating a smoldering, slow-burning fire of chronic inflammation throughout your entire body.
Dr. Bikman breaks down 4 distinct ways these oral pathogens drive type 2 diabetes. First up is cytokine spillover. Your immune cells fight the gum infection and release inflammatory proteins that literally block the insulin signaling pathway in your cells. Second, gingipains. These are enzymes secreted by the bacteria that travel through the blood and physically digest and destroy your insulin receptors. Wild, right? Third is liver disruption. The infection tricks your liver's genetic expression into pumping out more glucose even when it shouldn't. And fourth, gut translocation. Just by swallowing these bacteria, you can colonize your gut, driving even more inflammation from the inside out.
And the plot thickens even more when we look at heart health. These gum bacteria and their LPS toxins routinely reach your arterial walls.
Now, conventional wisdom says LDL cholesterol is the villain causing plaques, right? Well, researchers propose a brilliant metaphor here. LDL actually has the ability to bind to and neutralize these LPS endotoxins. So when LDL cholesterol builds up in an inflamed blood vessel, it might be acting like an immune system fire truck rushing to put out the fire. Blaming LDL for the plaque might be exactly like blaming the fire truck for a burning house just because it's parked out front. The real arsonist was the bacteria from your mouth.
With all this metabolic chaos originating in the mouth, we are witnessing a revolutionary shift in early detection.
Think about it. It's pretty ironic. You usually only go to a medical doctor when you already feel sick. But you go to the dentist when you feel perfectly healthy, just for a routine cleaning. Programs like the UK's Indicate-2 study are taking huge advantage of this. Over 50 dental practices are now successfully diagnosing prediabetes and type 2 diabetes right in the dental chair. They're catching triple-digit blood sugar levels in patients who had absolutely no clue they were sick, way before traditional doctors ever catch it.
And the economic stakes here are just mind-blowing. Health economists project that over the next decade, severe periodontitis will add a staggering $1 trillion to diabetes-related healthcare costs across 40 countries. $1 trillion! Treating the mouth isn't just about saving teeth anymore, it is about saving global economies.
But hey, it's not all doom and gloom. There is incredible hope here. Cochrane reviews, which are the absolute gold standard of medical evidence, found that simply treating the gums through a deep cleaning procedure called scaling and root planing can drop a patient's HbA1c by 0.5 percentage point in just a few months. That rivals the efficacy of some really expensive diabetes medications, but completely without the negative side effects.
So, how do we fix this? Let's get to the most important part of this explainer, the 5 highly actionable steps for healthy gums. Here is your science-backed 5-step protocol to secure that tight gum barrier and halt systemic inflammation right in its tracks. Step 1, break down the healthcare silos. Tell your dentist your HbA1c at every single visit. Step 2, get in the chair every 6 months or every 3 to 4 if you have active disease. Step 3, do the physical work. Brush twice and floss every single day to clear out that bacterial burden. Step 4, hydrate. Drink 2 to 3 liters of water daily to keep that protective saliva flowing. And step 5, control your refined sugar intake to actively speed up your gum healing. So, I'll leave you with this final thought. Knowing what we know now, that your mouth is literally the gateway to your bloodstream and a major player in insulin resistance, are you ready to finally give your oral hygiene the metabolic respect it deserves? Will you treat your next dental appointment not just as a quick teeth cleaning, but as a critical metabolic health checkup? Get out there, start flossing, and take control of your health today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.